Hello people of YouTube. Today we're going to talk through how to use Bootmod 3 on your car. You will need an Ethernet cable to do this, so OBD to Ethernet, there's plenty of them on Amazon, sites like that. A lot of them are yellow for whatever reason, R1 included. And also a lot of newer laptops don't actually have an Ethernet port, they rely on having Wi-Fi, etc. And you can get adapters to convert from USB to Ethernet. Quite a few of them don't work, as we found, but we've been using this Anker one. It comes recommended, plug straight in, it worked, and it means that we can use a newer, more decent, much quicker laptop for doing all our mapping work rather than an old laptop with an Ethernet port. So it comes highly recommended. So step one is buying a license for Bootmod. So the way Bootmod works is you have a user license. You buy that license, it's tied to your car, so it syncs with your chassis number and it's locked to your chassis number. And then you can start working from there, downloading maps, getting custom maps, changing settings, doing whatever you need to do. So first things first. If you jump onto hackengineering.co.uk, all you need to do is scroll down the side menu under top brands, and you'll find Bootmod 3. Click that. Wait for it to load, and then you've got all of your Bootmod 3 options here. So this is for the license. So basically what will happen is you buy the product on the website and we email you your license key and everything like that. And that's all you need to get up and running, other than some free software which we'll show you in a moment. So this being an M140i, we'd use this one. All you have to do, scroll down here, click add to basket, go through the process of your address and your payment details, and then depending on what time of night you order, we'll send you over your license key as quickly as possible. Just generally, if it's during working hours, be pretty much instant. So from there, you've got your license key, you need to actually get the Bootmod 3 software. So if you jump over to bootmod3.net, what you need to do is create a login. This can be anything you want, email address, whatever's easiest. So I'm already set up on here, so all I've got to do is click sign in, but you'll click sign in or new account, set your details up. If you've already got one, just sign in as normal. So in we go. You'll then come to this screen. What you'll see is OBD Agent not detected up here. So OBD Agent is Bootmod 3's little bit of software that you download and install onto your laptop, and that's the bit that talks to the car, and sort of bridges the gap between the car and what you're doing on Bootmod 3. Bootmod 3 is website based, you know, it's cloud based, so it doesn't really have any sort of ability to talk to the car directly, so it all does it through OBD Agent. So all you've got to do is nice and easy, click here to update or download it. Download it, just follow the simple instructions, which is basically where to save the installation, install it, it'll fire up automatically and it'll tell you what it's doing and it'll tell you if it's connected to the car. So I've already got that, so all I'm going to do is open it up in the background here, allow it to do its thing. That'll fire up, and if your car is plugged in with the ignition off, it'll actually make your car come to life, which was just happened in here. And as you'll read across the bottom, agent OBD connection to the vehicle is up. So we're connected, we're good to go, we're good to use Bootmod. Also on the Bootmod site, you'll see it says OBD connected. Simple as that, and that number above there is chassis number. You can see all your software IDs, details, things like that. Not really needed for what we're doing. So what we'll do is we'll talk you through how to flash on a stage 2 map. So first things first, you need to purchase your map. When you buy a license through us, you get one remap credit with it, so you can use that to download any off-the-shelf, or OTS for short, map. So these are found in the menu here. If you click on that, Bootmod knows we're in a B58, so it comes up with all the B58 maps. I mean, it's pretty simple really. It's all very self-explanatory. You know, stage 1 maps, you've got your different fuel ratings. Do remember that in the UK our octane rating is different, which is actually mentioned here. So American 91 octane is R95, which is just your standard sort of 4-star normal pump fuel. And then you've also got American 93 octane, which are R98, so premium fuel. So generally we'll always go for a premium fuel map unless a customer happens to be somewhere where it's difficult to get. But higher octane means you'll be able to get more out of it, and really it's worth running decent fuel. So that's that. As you can see down the screen, there are lots and lots and lots of maps for different fuels and different hardware setups. If, for example, for a stage 2 map, it generally requires a high flow downpipe, certainly in the case of this car and F80 M3s, etc. And it will mention that in the description for the map. So you're not just shooting in the dark, you've got everything you need there, and it'll tell you exactly what you should be running. It is worth saying that you should never ever make a change or apply a map with a hardware requirement that you don't have. For example, if you were to run a stage 2 map in a car with that still has, you know, an OEM cat downpipe, you're probably going to melt that cat, damage the sensors, things like that. It's just not worth it. So stick to what you can do. This car's already running a stage 1 93 octane map. We will be changing the downpipe any day, so I'm just going to pop it on a stage 2. It's sat in the workshop waiting to go, so we won't be driving it on that stage 2 map without doing the required changes. Generally I'd recommend doing the hardware changes before you apply the map. In this case I need something to show you all. So there are your maps. Let's go through and for the sake of showing you, let's grab a stage 2 93 octane aggressive map. So aggressive is purely relating to the overrun and burbles, and it's nothing to do with the actual mapping itself. So all you do is click on it, click get tune, click that yes, you definitely like to get it. What we've done with our login for this car is we've bought an additional map pack from Bootmod, which is all in the description on our website for where to buy that. It's $50. You can only get it direct from them. There's no point. You know, there's no shopping around to be done on that, basically. And once you download that and apply a license key to your license for the map pack, you then have access to every single map, or every single off-the-shelf map, and it makes life nice and easy. So let's click yes to that. So that's been acquired. So what happens then is it will jump through to my map screen. These screens that are jumping between are all on the menu on the left. So you've got my maps, off the shelf maps, you've got diagnostics, you've got map editor. As a regular license holder you won't be able to access that. As a tuner we can use that to actually fully map cars off the sort of off the shelf type setups. You've got data logs as well. So one thing about Bootmod is that you've got a full dashboard here. You can add pretty much any channel of diagnostics on here, record it, set it to automatically log, so it'll log as soon as you put your foot down, basically, and it can monitor an incredible amount of data, which then you can use to send to tuners to get them to apply different parameters to your maps and basically get the most out of it. It makes it all really nice and easy. It's probably seems quite daunting to be mentioning all of this now, but it really is. Once you've got it installed and have a play, there's really not a lot to it, in the best possible way. Worth mentioning as well, some vehicles have options for upgrading the transmission. This doesn't apply to the M140i. So on this car we're running XHP, which is a whole nother software setup. But I'm trying to think. So F80 M3s, you know, DCT equipped cars, you can apply a GTS gearbox map. M135i's with a slightly sort of earlier software version on their gearboxes. You can map. But yeah, let's get back to it. So if we go back to my maps, this is all the engine maps that have been bought for this car. It's also worth mentioning too that the 380 horsepower M Performance Pack files are free to download, so you don't actually need to use any map credits for those. So they're under OTS maps, they're just at the top. So as you can see, they're free. So you got OEM 326 horsepower, 340 horsepower, and M Performance Pack. So yeah, a bit more power there. As I say, they're generally a bit more power than they say they are on there. Just these cars in general just seem to dyno quite nicely. So let's jump back to it, stop getting distracted. So what we're going to do is show you how to flash on the Stage 2 93 octane map, which is just to show you, really, to be honest, personally I'm not a huge fan of pops and bangs and whatnot. A little bit's alright, but too much isn't, and aggressive is definitely quite a bit. So you click on the map, you come to this screen, you can basically see what version of it you've got, what exhaust, what hardware requirements you've got. So for this it mentions needing a full exhaust, and that is because the pops and bangs are so aggressive you will just cause destruction in a standard exhaust, which is quite restrictive. If you want to make changes to this, it's very, very easy. So the core map itself, fuel and ignition, bits like that, you can't change, that is set, but you've got lots of tweaking you can do within that. So all you have to do is go to the top right of the screen, click config, and all the way down here you've got a load of options. So exhaust burble type, this being the aggressive map. To be honest, I don't know why I download it and then turn it off, but you've got different burble options. So OTS is what comes with the map, so that's just sort of your off-the-shelf option. You've got M Performance Pack, so that is essentially BMW settings for a slightly lairier setup. Original, which is basically, that just means that this map leaves it alone, so if you've already tweaked it from something else, it'll leave it untouched. Off, so you can completely turn your burbles off. Custom's quite good. So if you click that, it'll bring up a load of options for how you want to set up your burbles. So duration, you can also change it depending on whether you're in sport mode or not. So you can have it pretty much off in normal comfort mode, and then really aggressive in sport. You can change minimum and maximum speeds and RPMs that it cuts in at. So let's, for the sake of this, just drag that up there. Make it set burbles from low revs and all the way up to high revs, and let's make it really aggressive on sport, and turn the duration right down in comfort, so it's nothing too bad. So that'll kind of be a bit of Jekyll and Hyde setup, so nice and quiet in comfort but a load of noise in sport. GTF startup raw, so that just basically means it makes a load of noise when you fire it up. Not really into that. Max cooling mode, so as you may know, these cars have electronic thermostats, water pumps, you name it. So by using max cooling mode, you can basically just tell the car to just run maximum cooling at all times. So generally that'll make the car run under temperature. It's got no minimum temperature then. I mean, it's maybe useful on track, to be honest. Even then, the car's got a pretty clever setup of knowing when it's getting hot and dealing with it appropriately. So generally not one I'd be touching. Cold start, that's a very popular option. So these cars have a cat heating cycle. So when you fire it up, it's quite noisy, runs at slightly higher revs and makes a load of noise. On these, it actually sounds quite nice. On M4s, etc., it can be a bit much. So you can either leave that on or turn it off. Especially if you're running a catless downpipe or anything like that, you might as well turn it off because it is literally doing nothing. You're not heating a cat if there isn't one there. Electronic wastegate disable, leave that alone unless you know what you're doing. So if you're running a big turbo setup with a mechanical wastegate, for example, if you have a look on our website, the Walton Motorsport turbo manifolds and setups that use a Garrett turbo will change to a Turbo Smart mechanical wastegate. So from that point of view, that's when you'd start looking at disabling electronic wastegate bits. Other than that, completely pointless. And if your car is running standard turbo or hybrid turbo, definitely leave it alone. You really don't want to be touching that. Exhaust flap sport, you can just basically make it so that exhaust flap is open when you hit sport, rather than switching depending on whether you've got your foot on the throttle, so on. Speed limiter, says what it does on the tin really. You can turn that off, get rid of your top speed limiter. Catalytic monitors, so if you're running a decat, then you'll find that it'll throw an engine check light because it's monitoring essentially low catalytic converter efficiency because there isn't one there. So by turning that off, it basically disables that check engine light from being thrown. It stops it monitoring that second lambda sensor for efficiency. Next up, high pressure fuel pump. So the downfall of these B58s really, especially these Gen 1s, is fuel supply. So if you're running a lot of power, the high pressure fuel pump can't really keep up, and you'll basically get a pressure loss. So there are aftermarket versions available, and with this setup, or this option, you can choose which setup you've got between Dorch and Spool products. To be honest, the most popular setup that we've seen and used is using a B58TU fuel pump, which is from the Toyota Supra and newer Z4s and things like that, which is plug and play. So it is mentioned elsewhere on Bootmod that you don't need to be changing this HP FP option there. You can just leave it on OEM, and the car knows what it's doing with one of those. Finally, boost by gear. So especially if you're running quite a bit of power in one of these, or an F80 M3 or whatever it may be, being rear wheel drive, getting the power down is not always the easiest thing. So what you can do with this is set a boost reduction in each gear up to 6th. So all you have to do to set that, say, I mean, what's quite popular is a 30-20-10. So 30% reduction in boost on first gear down to a 10% on third gear, and that just really helps you drive a bit more smoothly, pulling away aggressively, gives the car a bit more chance to keep traction. So quite popular, and yeah, quite a handy tool really. Final option is DCC Code Deactivation. So if there's something you've done on your car that means it's throwing a fault code, trying to think what that could be, but say you got rid of the exhaust flap and then you were getting an exhaust flap motor code flashing up for that not being there, what you could do is read that fault code through the diagnostics section of Bootmod and then enter it in there, save it, and it'll deactivate that fault code from being able to be flashed up. Where I wouldn't recommend doing that is anything that does relate to engine health. You know, really, if you've got a problem, you want to know about it. Don't just go clearing it for the sake of clearing it. But that's that. Once you've chosen all your settings, so I mean, let's just go back. Let's make the exhaust flap open, take off the top speed limiter, and turn off the catalytic monitoring, and let's turn off cold start as well. It really is that simple. You can do it so quickly. Save changes, confirm. So that then saves all those settings to your stage 2 93 octane aggressive map. If you're logged into this, you probably only have 2 maps on there unless you have already had a play with it and downloaded a few maps. So that doesn't mean that's flashed to the car, that just means you've saved that file. So to then flash it to the car, we just open it again, and all we do is we hit flash. Make sure that your car is connected to a battery charger or stabilizer. You don't want your battery dropping out halfway through doing this because you will brick your ECU. Also, turn your aircon off, turn your lights off, put your seatbelt on. That keeps the ECU from going to sleep. And that's pretty much it really. Just make sure any electricity consumers are off. You know, don't have your heated seats on, things like that. Just to give the most stable voltage to the ECU possible while it's being flashed. So what we'll do now, press here to flash now, it'll give you a warning, which is basically what I've just told you. Hit flash, and away we go. So it'll now download the map, and then it will apply it to your car. And it goes without saying, don't fire your car up halfway through doing this. Don't open the door. Don't do anything, because you will interrupt that flashing and you'll break your ECU, most likely. So as you can see, that's now downloaded. You can see it up here. This tends to respond a little bit quicker than the main notification. And now it's flashing, so the car will flash up a load of areas. It's just come up saying drivetrain twice. It will have a bit of a fit. You'll probably see the needles moving around and various lights coming on and off, but it will flash as quick as that. If it's the first time you're flashing, it will take a little bit longer, possibly 3 or 4 minutes, something like that, where it's actually unlocking the ECU. But once you've unlocked the ECU that first time, any flashes from then on will be as quick as the one I've just shown you. Probably the longest winded part of it is restoring the coding afterwards. So basically it'll save all your coding settings, apply the map, which will wipe them out, and then reapply them afterwards. So that's why that takes a minute, and then it'll clear all your fault codes, and then you're good to go. I mean, it really is that simple, and as we've proven, you get some pretty massive gains. So this car went from standard to stage 1, and we went from 291 to 379 wheel horsepower. Trying to remember now. So a pretty massive gain, and actually the drivability of it is so much better afterwards. And if you jump on our website and have a look at the dyno graphs on our homepage, we've just put up a little blog post about the dyno results from this. We've got before and after, and you can really see how the torque holds on and goes right out upper into the rev range, whereas the standard map has a nice lump of torque and then really drops off. So you don't really feel any need to rev the car out and actually enjoy that engine and the noise with the standard map, whereas with a stage 1 map you get a much nicer power band to use, and you can really enjoy using the revs a little bit more and just driving a car as it should be. So going back to this, it's finished mapping, so it says flash successfully. Turn the ignition off, wait 5 seconds, and then start the car. So we'll do that, lean forward, turn it off, wait 5 seconds, and then let's fire it up. And there you go. Generally it would fire straight up. We've coded out the brake pedal push for start on this, and to be honest, we're going to be going back to brake pedal start every now and then. It's just a little bit slow to start for whatever reason, but I wouldn't expect that at all with Bootmod. And job done, you're up and running. You can go for a drive. You may find it very slightly jerky to begin with, just where it's kind of figuring itself out again after being mapped, but there's really nothing more to it. Drive it, enjoy it, and then next time you make a hardware change, you can always see if there's another map that's more suitable, or jump in, switch your settings, reflash it, anything like that. It's so easy with Bootmod. It's exactly why we use it. And if you do want custom maps for your car, all you have to do is find us in the tuner section of Bootmod, which is here, and you can scroll through, find us on here, and we can assist with any custom work that you might need. There are plenty of other tuners on here as well. A lot of them come highly recommended, a lot of them are lesser known, but here we are. So that is us. So feel free to get in touch if you need anything. Also, if you bought a license through us and you're struggling to get it set up and working, do just give us a shout. We're always happy to help. But hopefully this video talks you through it as well as can be. There really isn't a lot to it. If you've got basic computer knowledge, you should be able to do this absolutely fine. That's that. I mean, remapping has never been easier. So I'll end this there. We're going to go for a bit of a drive, see what this is like after I've flashed it back to stage 1. But really, yeah, can't recommend it highly enough. So I'll catch you next time. See you then.